my shit myself. So
Yeah,
um,
yeah. So I'm gonna record now, but
cool, cool.
I'm not gonna start like I'm not gonna start our cut yet.
I got you.
I mean, so like I gotta figure out the introduction questions. Like, do you want to break down two shows? Like I break down two shows. You do two shows and be like not even the introduction questions, but like um how you introduce it off. It should be like this is Mike. This is
Oh
Mike.
yeah, yeah.
I
Just feel it
mean,
through, man. Hey, what's good, man? This is Mike B and Mike Baker coming at you live with the first episode of the weekly tech wrap up.
nice.
And let me see what else we got going. Um, and pretty much what we're going to be going over is are you recording right now?
Yeah,
Go
I'm
ahead. You can
recording.
you can
Right.
have this
Yeah, I'm recording.
shit. And so yeah, pretty much what we're going to go over, man, is that we let me a little background to how we even started. So actually, we've known each other for some time, and he can probably give you his side of why we started off on this journey. But um, we are both in the tech industry. At the same time, we have dibbled and dabbled into marketing, right? And one of the things we've noticed is that there hasn't really been a hard press on bringing it to the people of what's actually happening on a week to week basis with these bigger tech corporations. And this is generally where the minds of the people are when it comes to technology. So what we've come together to do with his expertise, his background in software engineering and doing consulting, and my background more so in software quality assurance, which is breaking things, the opposite of what he does. We've come together and come up with a show where we're on a weekly basis going to be bringing you different our opinions on different things that comes up within the tech industry, as well as maybe even some criticism as to what are some of these bigger corporations doing, or what are some of these individuals doing. There's been a lot of as of recent, there's been some hype around what Mark Zuckerberg has been doing. He changed the Facebook logo. He was kind of in some of a crisis. He's been going through a lot of stuff, and I don't really think there hasn't been too many people that's given honest criticism of his actions, that's
Yeah,
righteous,
yeah,
as well as bigging up some of the corporations and people who are doing excellent things. As far as example, Elon Musk and a lot of what he's doing with Neuralink. So that's a generalization of what we're doing. We can go a lot more deeper into it. We're going to be analyzing what we do, what Google is up to with Google Earth and Google Mars and Google Universe. Same thing with Microsoft, with a lot of the moves that they're making within the gaming industry and other things just tech related.
yep. Basically, yeah. I mean, I like to reiterate the same thing. Basically, I mean, I'm Mike. That's my man, Mike, right there. We known each other since basically college days, and I mean, we're both in the tech industry, and feel like we have to be able to elaborate on some of the industry's news, the topics that have been going on. I mean, I get questions like 10, 20 times a day about different topics in the industry and how to actually relate that stuff to people. I feel like something like a blogging platform, a podcast platform would allow for us to be able to relay that information to the people that need to hear it most. Um, One of the issues that happens is that people don't have enough time. And the second thing is usually it's hard to be able to translate things to people that need to hear it in the way that they need to hear it. Like certain demographics just hear things differently based on who's telling them the story. So I feel
Right.
like it would benefit us just to be able to reiterate some of the topics in our head, and me personally just to get it out of my head sometimes. And um, I feel like this could benefit everyone else, just to be able to relay the information and allow people to get a idea and an opinion about what these technology industries are doing with our information and essentially with us. Because I mean, whether you are proactively informed or not, you are getting manipulated, and your your information is actually definitely getting exploited, whether you participate in it or not. And I feel like being able to understand it more allows us to be able to participate more, especially when now the government is actually listening to these issues and trying to take hold of regulation for how to deal with some of these issues and concerns when it comes to digital privacy and information rights. Um, the EFF and FCC and all of that have been pushing for these things for a while, but now it's
cracking
really,
down.
yeah, like they really cracking down now. Like that whole 2016
Debacle.
election did a lot to people, man. Like a lot of people were like, "Oh, how did this happen? Like, how
Yeah.
did this happen?" And I mean, everybody is they got their ears open now, and um,
Yeah, it's been getting real out here for some time, bro. You know, they ever since they really was talking about I think it was back in 2012, they was talking about shutting the internet down. It's
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah,
yeah, so, yeah, like maybe before that, but they really, I think, some time when they was really pushing for that, like, man, we want to, cut the power,
yeah.
So,
I mean, and
I,
they and
yeah,
that's the thing. Like they're trying to regulate it now. I mean, like with so many companies transitioning, like with the telecommunication company changing the way that it is, they are definitely not the same industry that they were back in the early 2000s and the 90s. Like the internet back in the day was definitely a wide open resource for people, and now it is very much sort of like it's transitioning to be more of a pay to play system.
mm,
Like when it comes to
absolutely,
being like having to just get information, like when you just look at news in general, like a lot of news resources are locking down their sites where you got to be able to pay just to get the information of the
this is
news.
news.
Yeah, I mean, like you may
Yeah,
get one or two, three articles, but after three articles, you're done for the month.
right
Like
here for the
unless
month.
you, I mean, you're done for the month unless you pay. Yeah, I mean, so like you gotta find your resources nowadays, and like, I mean, there's great things like Wikipedia that are out there and whatnot, but I mean, for the most part, information is getting locked down in a kind of devious manner when it comes to some places, some industries, some companies. It's hard to say whether they're doing things for people's benefit or they doing things for just their profits and gains.
Right. That's I think a part of the what we're doing here, and what I like is that we're bringing a honest, some honest criticism and our thoughts and our ideas of opinions of what's going on because everybody's information. We live in an age where everybody's information is out there. They hear us talking right now. Okay, like
Right.
who they hear. So it brings the question like, is it for the good or for the bad? Is it for the righteous or the evil? Are they collecting people's data when we give them our data? Are they using it to spy on us, analyze us, or is it something that they're using to, in some shape, form, or fashion, try to protect us? Or is it neutral? Is it just they're collecting this stuff, maybe just to, get us to buy more stuff? Who knows? So
Oh yeah,
we're gonna
yeah. I
we're gonna we
mean,
gonna air out the truth though. We're gonna put it out there.
they're definitely using our information so that they can manipulate us and to gain profits. Like that's just the default. Like that's the whole point of it. If they weren't able to gain more profits off of it, then they probably wouldn't even do it, and the internet would be the way that it was,
Facts.
like originally. Yeah, I mean, once they realized that they can start making millions upon millions to equal billions, they was like,
Oh yeah.
yeah, we gotta tighten this up. We gotta
Paid
tighten this
ads.
up. We gotta analyze every bit. We gotta know when they scroll their finger across the screen.
Hey,
Like we
right.
need to know everything about what they doing. Who put the finger on the screen at what point in time? I mean, and did they click the button or not? Like they gotta know every detail about it because they feel like it's gonna make them more money. And it's like at what expense? What it like like anywhere else, if you like any other point in time, like if you had oil under your house or some shit. I mean, they will pay you for that oil. Like they will pay you to move wherever you need to move or whatever, so they can get that oil. I mean,
That
like
would be the first
essentially,
thing I try to do. Yeah,
yeah,
go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah. I mean, they try to push you out. They try to do it around you and all this stuff. But then, like, if they can't, then they be like, let's just give you the dough and get you up out of there so we can get this oil. But like, data is the new oil in this age, and I
Mm,
mean, you're not really getting paid for it. Like they try to say that you're benefiting because Facebook benefit you benefit from Facebook because we're putting the world together, we're connecting the world. So like you benefit from being able to communicate with all your friends and family and all that stuff. And what would happen if you had to pay for that shit? Like instead of it being for free, and for free, we get your information. Yeah, I mean, and that's the easy trade off. That's the even trade off in their perspective. I
the
mean,
thing is that I always, yeah, I agree, man. As far as I think a lot of it, man, may be exposing the deviancies of these corporations, big companies, because we all know this is a rule of thumb that convenience comes with a price. So,
Right.
like you're saying, they're like, yeah, the picture is, oh, you're able to connect with your family, and you don't have to, call or have long distance calls, or whatever the case is that you had to do in the past. But what's the price you ultimately pay for
Right.
that?
What is the price that you paying for communication? Just to be able to talk to somebody that you need to be able to talk to. Like, is there a price point that is like preferable over having somebody get my information? Like, can I pay Facebook $10 a month and not have to ever have an ad placed upon me or have them track me or anything like that? Like, what is the price of your information? And, like, is that valuable to you? Like, if you had to pay $10 a month, is Facebook even worth it at that point?
Right.
I mean, what about $1 a month? Is it worth it at $1 a month type
That
shit?
that spurred so many different things to talk about, because I know we was talking about too, like the not just as far as the tech, but the interconnectivity to how marketing and how money is being made, right? Because I remember I forgot the guy's name he was speaking. He's a excellent businessman. He's of African descent, but from like I guess he's an Englishman, and he was saying how a lot of these people like they invest in tech companies, but it's like I forgot what they call it. It's like somebody. It's like you putting your money into your pocket when there's a hole there, because
Right.
who's really getting money back from like investing in Facebook or investing in the. Of course, we have these stories where these guys make out and come and make $1 billion, $2 billion, something like that. But for the investors, it's like what are they really getting? You know what I mean? Like, it's not like they're investing in a donut shop.
Yeah.
Where of course they for the purpose of selling more donuts. They split the profits, but it's like you're investing in Facebook then or Twitter.
Yeah.
What's the return?
I mean, a lot of it,
What?
a lot of them been using it for just reputation's sake, like not even making any money for the longest time for real. Like, a lot of companies have been putting their news articles on Facebook just so that they
Mm,
can share the information and get potential readers. And I mean, the whole time they be complaining about not making them enough in ad revenue. Yeah, I mean, but like, so like, if your whole business model is making money on ad revenue, and ad revenue is depending on how many eyes you get, and you don't even like the value that you get per eye type shit. Like, if you're only getting like 2 cents per eye, you get 10,000 people there. What's that like? Maybe
two hundred
maybe,
dollars.
yeah, like, it's not much. It ain't much. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I mean, for 10,000 people, it's not much, but they were taking that because it was giving them more eyes. Yeah, I mean, like, being able to post it on Facebook, whether they were able to get the readers there to get the ad money there or not, they were able to get the viewership. Yeah, I mean, and build a reputation based on comments and likes and shit.
mm,
And they loved it. They loved the comments and likes, and that's what it got the news media to sort of change the way that they push information out to us now. And one of the things that they complain about is, like, even though these looks in these eyes were like valuable, and they meant something because of reputation, they still weren't making enough money off of it. I mean, and that was like the biggest thing. Like, they still not making enough money, so they changing the value of what an ad costs so that they can make more money off of it. And they want to like track like how long you're reading it. Like, is the ad valuable if you're only reading 30 seconds of it versus if you were there for like 3 minutes? Like,
yeah.
does that add whole value at that point? Like,
Bring up
they
a
they
good point.
they were putting all these regulations in place, man. But yeah, I mean, that's like spitball talk. So that's like kind of the stuff that we're gonna be talking about. Um, I want to go ahead and go over some of these topics. We got 3 topics today, and we basically gonna try to have a routine of about 3 to 5 topics on a weekly basis when we do have these episodes. But today's topics that I want to really go over real quick. Um, First one that I want to talk about is the AT&T FCC issue.
Yeah, I was
Um,
actually just checking this out while you was talking a little bit.
yeah, yeah. So AT&T basically had to settle a lawsuit with the FCC for
60
advertising
mil.
for $60 million for advertising that they were offering unlimited data when in actuality they were throttling unlimited data after you got to a certain point.
Right.
I mean, so like after you get to that 5 gig, 6 gig limit,
You
you
get that
you
message on your phone saying, "Yeah,
yeah,
you over your limit."
yeah, and then your internet slow down to a
See?
crawl. You can't stream a YouTube video without it looking like a pixelated 1980s picture. I
Oh
mean, like
man,
you just had to, and you had to deal with it. And I mean, it's nobody that you can really complain to. They just say that you went over your limit.
right. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? What's the definition of unlimited, man?
yeah. And that's the thing. Like they try to define unlimited because we still giving you internet. We just slowing down the speed of it.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, so like, yeah, I mean, you still get internet in case you need to like, message somebody on some service on like Twitter or something, but like don't try to use it for GPS. I mean, because if you try to use it for GPS, it's going to take forever to load
It's
the map up.
done. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I
you ain't
got to
gonna be able
close
to
the
get
app
the
a couple
map.
times.
Like I guess the GPS just ain't working anymore.
Yeah.
Like that's and I mean, they even had this issue with I want to say it was Verizon a while back. Um,
A couple of these places, I was gonna jump in and say that, bro. Like, so I used to have Sprint. We had the
mhm.
family plan, and the same. I get the same hustle. I say of saying, oh, you got an unlimited, 3 lines, unlimited data, and all this and that. And I noticed that, when my little nephews would get a hold of my phone, I got 4 nephews, and that's all they do is play games on the phone
Yeah,
and stuff like
yeah,
that. And I've
basically.
noticed that, like maybe like on the 10th day after we've paid the bill, I get this alert saying, "Oh, well, you may experience, some slow loading." Some alert will come up on my phone. This was with Sprint,
Yeah,
so it only brings the question, man, like how many of these carriers, how many of these companies are really on this hustle of selling the idea of unlimited? Well, it's unlimited data in theory, but it's not the same type of data unlimited.
yeah. I mean, like, I every time I used to hear about T-Mobile with their new push, like they got a new CEO a couple years ago, and then they tried. That's when they started changing their whole business model to just push unlimited everything all the time, and that's sort of what got all these other companies into the business of trying to do unlimited. It was like maybe 2014, 2015, not too long ago, but like they would push unlimited, and from what I would hear from people, it would actually go up to like 30 gigs unlimited, and then it would start throttling. So like 30 gigs is, I mean, nonetheless, unlimited is supposed to be unlimited, so it ain't supposed to have a limit. So hearing 30 gigs ain't nothing, but 30 gigs is a lot in
Yeah,
comparison to what other people were giving. I mean,
it's
like,
a lot. Yeah,
yeah, it's
it's a,
technically a lot, but it ain't a lot. Ain't unlimited. None of it
yeah,
is
right.
unlimited. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, thanks for the 30 gigs. I don't plan on using it, but what if I wanted to? This ain't
There you
unlimited.
go. Right.
Yeah, I mean, like, but
The game plan changed. You say, "Oh, all right, hold on now," because I thought that I thought it was only you using the phone. You know what I mean? I
yeah,
thought it was only you.
yeah. And I think I gotta look up the article, but like one of the big issues that made this a big thing for him was with Verizon. Like Verizon had it was a I got to look up the article. Yeah, I mean, but it was a fire department that was in an emergency situation. Yeah, I mean, they use cellular service because they have to be able to communicate with each other, and cell phones are a better system to communicate than walkie talkies and shit. So
Right.
I mean, they needed to, and they have like, when they come with those vehicles, they come with like computers on them. Like there's computers on the fire trucks, there's computers on the EMT trucks and shit like that, and they communicate using cellular service. I mean, and Verizon started throttling them in the middle of an emergency.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, like they're in the middle of saving people's lives, and Verizon like, nope, 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 you
Right.
ain't pay your bill.
Hit
You
that
ain't pay.
button.
Yeah, I mean, you ain't pay your bill. You went over your 12 gigs. Yeah, I mean, I mean, like, and then they in there, shooting fire hoses and trying to put up the ladders and getting everybody ready for saving lives, and their bill cut them off for real.
Right.
I mean,
That's
and
crazy.
they actually sued Verizon for that. I mean, and issues like that. It had to sort of happen. Like even now, I heard on it like recently, like earlier this week. It was like a T-Mobile emergency business plan. Like if you are in emergency services because of what happened with Verizon, T-Mobile got a business
You
model
got
to
a
compete.
business plan. It's always
Yeah, I mean,
about
we
the
got a
business.
business model to compete. Like, oh, y'all got cut off with Verizon. Don't come over to us. Yeah, I mean, so like
Yeah.
they came up with their own version for that exact purpose. I mean, if you are emergency services and you need to have communication without it cutting off on you, come drive T-Mobile
That
service.
brings so many. That brings so many things into question as to what is really happening behind the scenes, because it's like, and why it's important to know this and really get us to the people to think about, because it makes you think. Like, are they using these different circumstances just to be able to sell more, to keep their business afloat, to sell more service to the company? Like, was it one of those? Because you've noticed, and there's been several scandals that have happened in the history of business, right? Especially in IT, where there are partnerships that are formed under the table, where one company will tank on purpose or do something on purpose as a form of getting data or collecting statistics. So the other company they're in bed with, will be able to come up with some type of financial schemery to be able to continue to hustle the people out of money and keep them on top of the mountain. You know what I mean? Because this thing about that, like now, suddenly, yeah, I always think, question um, I guess, the morality of the people that are at the top when it comes to these companies, because it's like, if it was something where there was an emergency, why is it that a separate plan has to be purchased in order for that person to have the means to so their communications that and everything like that won't be blocked or won't be
Yeah.
halted in some type of way. Like, why is the focus on, well, yeah, you can, we have a plan for that, but you got to purchase it.
Why is
You
it a
can't just
whole
get it.
nother tier?
Yeah,
Like, I mean, and I mean, and if you got like a business plan, if you got a business plan, you gotta be kind of upset. Like, well, if we're going to just treat us like regular customer, then what's the point of the business plan? Like, why don't we just get customer accounts if you're going to still cut us off anyway?
right.
We got the business plans because we doing business 24/7. I mean, you can't, and technically at this point, we're business to business partners. You gonna cut me off like
Pretty
that?
much.
We here to help you make money. We supposed to be consistent. We trying to stay in business. We can't do business if you cut
Right.
us off.
So, like, what
I
is it
mean,
like? The plan is the regular, the consumer plan is, okay, like 30, and it's like,
yeah,
oh, well, the emergency plan is 60.
yeah,
Like the
exactly.
goal, but like what you said, is unlimited. Like, it shouldn't be a number.
It shouldn't be a number.
Numbers shouldn't be
It
a number.
shouldn't be a number, and that's where they trying to put that. Like, is internet a utility or is it like a entertainment resource type thing? Like, is it something that, because that's what they've been trying to do with the FCC, trying to figure out for a while. Like, should this be considered an information resource where they can tier it and put like certain levels on it and place advertisement tiers on it, like television and telephone services used to be, and radio, or is it
Right.
like a natural utility like electricity and power and I mean, well, they're the same, but electricity and water, is it a world utility where, I mean, this shit is sort of vital at this point because, like, yeah, people using the internet for telephones and like looking at YouTube videos and Facebook, but at the same time they're using that shit for security systems and controlling
Exactly.
their houses and like emergencies if there's a
Emergency.
if there's a fire. Yeah, I mean,
Right.
so like
It's
if
one of
it's
those, like, is do you eat to live or live to eat type of arguments, right? Where it's like,
yeah,
of course, you want it to taste good, but it's like it's fuel for your body, right? So it's the
right.
same thing for the internet. It's like, yeah, there's a lot of entertainment, stuff that you can do to pass your time by and stuff. But like you're saying, is that the internet has opened up it's revolutionized life so much so that we as human beings have just become so dependent on it that we don't know how to function without it,
Right.
honestly. And I think
Right.
what's happened is that with these companies, they see that, they have the analysts that read that, understand that, and they develop a business model around that to be able to monetize people's lives, pretty much people's interactions, people's dependency on this tool slash entertainment system.
Yeah. And that's probably like a whole nother debate that needs to go on when it comes to like software development and how they gamify shit. Like I remember like 2012 when I started hearing about gamification. When I think I want to say like 2010, I started reading this book. I never finished it. I started reading this book called Game Theory because I um
Mm.
because the Roots had an album called Game Theory that came
Yeah,
out.
they
And
did. Yeah,
yeah, and so I was like, oh shit, let me check out this game theory
that was
concept.
hot too.
And I was like, oh, I mean, this is basically the concept of video games, but it's in a philosophy. Yeah, I mean, and then when I started hearing about how programming is essentially applying this game theory logic to systems, like that was like the beginning of like how they were going to and that they were using AI for game theory because that was like the second thing, like
Hmm.
understanding game theory and getting people into competitive ways with systems and wanting to like win like awards and little tokens like how they have with like if you go to like Facebook groups and whatnot and you're a top fan or
Yeah,
you're a conversation starter and stuff like that like
yeah. I start seeing it
that
on my.
that
I
like
see it.
that like gets you caught up into it like oh shit I got to keep doing more, I got to do more, I'm
The
trying to be that
status.
top tier. I
Yeah,
mean, and like they apply that to damn near everything that's not a game, and being able to apply that stuff that's like banks, where it's like use your card more so that you can win these
yeah,
rewards to go and spend your money at all these other places.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like
All that freaking
you
flyer miles and all that,
yeah,
right?
you feel like you winning. Yeah, I mean, you feel like you winning out here, and it's really
Hashtag
it's
hashtag winning.
yeah, I mean, you're a winning consumer. Yeah, I mean, you consume the best. You the best consumer out there, bro. We
Wow.
want to let y'all know.
Yeah, keep
I mean,
consuming.
yeah, I mean, keep consuming, bro. Keep doing your job. I mean, and it's like that that ideology. That's like a whole discussion that probably has to be taken into consideration because that's like understanding humans to a point of manipulation. Yeah, I
Right.
mean, and when you can do that on a scale like a Google and a Facebook, and you have the potential out to like manipulate people. That's how you got people that's checking their feeds like 70 times a day, and then they tracking that, like they're tracking
Like
like
me.
yeah, like oh shit, you opened up your app 70 times a day and looked at it like a minute and 47 seconds each time.
Oh my
Like
goodness.
when you tracking it like that, that's a problem.
And
And
that's
when you
real, man. That's
and you
that's
and
you
you
know, people do that.
programming it to that. You programming it so people will want to keep opening it that way because you know that humans are kind of simple creatures. Yeah, I mean, so we do things repetitive. So you know that and you program it toward that to feed people like their dopamine hits and whatnot.
The
That's a
dose.
problem.
That's what it is. It gives people a dose, and the dose. I think it's the acronym for it's dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. Right.
Right.
So
Right.
whenever you open up their phone, that's what it is. It's just getting a dose, man. Just keep on
Yeah.
giving it to them.
Yeah.
More and
Give me
more,
that.
more of that stuff. And
And
that's what
that's
it's
what
like a
that be.
drug, man.
That's what it
Yeah.
be, yo. And it's a problem in itself. Let's go to this next topic. I mean, so I had a YouTube video in there, but I changed it to this article so it won't just pop up and start playing a video on the spot. But if you heard about this, Amazon Alexa, Apple
Ooh,
Siri, and Google Assistant can be hacked using lasers. Um,
that's real. Yo, my mind just went so many places with that, man. You
yeah,
get
I
to be
mean,
like, "Hey, sir," you do that,
yeah.
and then there'd be somebody else talks to
I
you.
mean, so the way they figured this out, they figured out that all right, so the speakers in the microphones are sensitive, right? And they
Mhm.
cut on based on vibrations. Yeah, I mean, so it's listening for vibrations. It's a microphone, but it's somewhat of an optical microphone. I mean, and your
Yeah.
voices are vibrations. Yeah, I mean, so like the Alexa, the Siri, the Google Assistant, all of those devices that had those microphones on them have these. I mean, the microphones are sensitive in a way that they're looking for vibrations and something about lasers. You got to read it in the whole article, but
Yeah, I'm
it's what they
actually looking
call
at it right now.
yeah, it's what they call MEMS microphones. It's MEMS microphones, and because of their sensitivity, they are also potentially sensitive to light.
Yeah,
And what somebody figured out, a hacker, of course. Yeah, I mean, somebody that got days of their life just spending on pointing lasers at microphones. Yeah, I mean, they figured out that they could use these lasers if they point them at the microphone and they essentially do like a form of Morse code where they shoot these signals to the
yeah,
microphone from the laser in a particular way. They can start sending it messages, and
that's crazy.
it's messages that only the microphone could technically hear because it's going through the laser. So it's not like it's audio. It's laser
Yeah,
audio.
it's a laser. Yeah, it says it's crazy how like yeah, it's a language, but it's inaudible to us,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
It's
yeah,
crazy. I wanted to read this a little bit of the article.
yeah.
You can find the article. It's at foxtenphoenix.com/news. And
Yep. I'll put them in. I'll put them in the show notes.
yeah, and title of it is Amazon Alexa, Apple Siri, and Google Assistant can be hacked using lasers. Experts warn. A little bit of article. It says voice assistants such as Amazon's Alexa, Apple Siri, and Google Assistant can be hacked by shining a laser on the device's microphones, according to an internal team of researchers. Dubbed light commands, the hack allows attackers to remotely inject inaudible and invisible commands into voice assistants, according to a statement from experts at the University of Electrocommunications in Tokyo. Of course, it'd be in Tokyo, and the University of Michigan. Wow.
Inaudible and invisible. You can't hear it and you can't
Wow.
see
Crazy.
it.
Man, that's like and it's my theory whenever they discover something like this, the shit been going on long before it hit the news, man. I'm pretty sure that it's some folk that probably then came across, whoever it is that has the MEMS, and what does MEMS stands for? Micro electro mechanical systems. Some dude, that was probably connected to the they, and was like,
Hmm.
we're gonna go, let's take this out into the field and test this out. And I'm pretty sure it's probably been, a couple of one-offs where somebody would be speaking to Siri and then it'd be somebody sounding like me talking to him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It had to, and of course, what happens in situations like that, somebody, it'll be a random situation. They'll talk with somebody, and of course, denial is always the way to go, right? Like, I don't know what you're talking about. It was probably just an error, but now it's hit the news. So, I mean, we probably,
Yeah. I
we're
mean,
probably on the verge of this happening a lot more often.
yeah, I mean, there's companies out there that are their whole business model is to try to like hack into devices and figuring out all the exploits that they can for devices and potentially selling the knowledge of those exploits back to the company
Mm,
so that they can get the money for it. I mean, like to be like, all right, we figured out how to hack this thing. Google will tell you how to hack it. You give us 100,000. Yeah, I
mm,
mean, and you can fix it. I mean, in this case, they technically, from what they were saying, they technically can't fix it because it's like it's sort of the way that the microphone works. Yeah, I mean, and by the way
wow.
that the microphone works, it's no software update that they can
So,
get. Yeah, I mean, the only thing is like the high probability of somebody doing it. Yeah, I mean, like, and I mean, and that's just like anybody's like door lock for real, for real. Like
oh,
somebody can
definitely.
get in if they want to get in. They can kick in the door if they want to kick in the door,
Yeah, right.
waving the 4-4 type thing. But like,
Right.
um, how bad do they want to get in, and how good are they to getting in without letting anybody being known about it? Like,
Right. Do they
Like,
got to
can
kick
they?
in, or can they do something to
Yeah, I
just
mean, can they
open the door and
just
walk in?
pry the joint open?
Yeah.
And that's the sort of same way. Like whoever got this skill, they got to be able to know how they got to have this device because it's not just like a laser by itself. They got to be able to have it hooked up to a computer of some sort to be able to send the signal the way that it need to be sent. And then like they have to have the want to do it. You know what I mean,
Right,
like,
no one's there.
yeah, I mean, what are you doing it for? You trying to get like $40 out my house? You want my new
That's right.
short, my shoes and shit? Like,
You want to do just because they just at first it may have started off as just shits and giggles, right? Like, oh, we're gonna do it, haha, runaway prank shit. But then after a
yeah,
while, you start to
yeah.
see like, you're able to do some malicious things
It's
with this,
it's
man.
it's it's some 14, 15-year-old out there that got the skill and got all these devices that are probably just doing this for fucks. And they be like, yo, I want to test this out and I want to see if I can do it. And they doing it. And they like, yo, look at what I can do. And they probably
Right.
hacking their friend like Alexa and making it like cut off their lights or something. But like, and that's kind of the issue is like that it can control certain things if you got them hooked up to all those things. Like if you got it hooked up to your security system, then
Yeah. Oh
it's
goodness,
it can open up your security
it's a
system if you can
wrap.
point to it. I mean, but like,
It's not the security system no more.
yeah, I mean, it's their security system now.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it is. But like, it's like how important is it to you to like whatever's inside your house or whatever that thing is that's managing whatever systems you got going on, like how important is it? Like if you got 100 million in the stash, if you got like an institute that's managing, like if you got an institution or something that's managing like a whole bunch of like top secret information and it's all secured by like a Alexa or Google
Mhm.
Assistant, then you got larger problems anyway
Yeah.
because you shouldn't even have your stuff secured by a Google Assistant, by like some voice assistant. But like as these things start becoming more prevalent, you might have it secured by some Google system based like that because you can you can take Alexa, you can take Google Assistant, you can take Siri, and you can sort of well, I don't know about Siri. Siri might not be as great as the other two, but you can take the other two, Google Assistant and Alexa, you can reprogram them like not just the devices, but the APIs that they got in their clouds.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
All that.
you can program them to like manage your own personal stuff. I mean, so like if you
Mm.
do have like some top secret project that you're working on, you can tie it to Alexa or Google Assistant and have it do things for you. But like,
But it makes you think. Well, it's like even as soon as something is able to be hacked, it's no longer secret, right? It's either
yeah,
not known, or uh, no one had, like you said, they haven't had the want to exploit it yet. So if you, it makes you like you people have to, if this is what they're doing, people have to consider going back to handoffs, man. And I think at some
yeah,
level,
yeah,
whoever is that has access to the red button in these governments, man, like the code, it can't be in the system, man. It has to be in somebody's mind, right? Or some
yeah,
backup. So it's like, if you're able to use MEMS to access it, you know what I mean? You can't, it's crazy. Like it's voice command and stuff. It's no longer safe, right? That
right.
was the whole idea why a lot of these companies started to go into these extra measures beyond just a coded password in order for you to have, for security. But now that you're
Mhm.
able to, hack a microphone, it's like, what is security?
Yeah, I mean, like they already showed that they can hack the fingerprint readers. I mean, right now I think they still trying. Like, you can hack what they call like the face joint, the face lock, the face unlock, like on Google, on Apple's phone, and on the Pixel. you can um you can hack those now, but you need like a 3D like something. Like it can't be because it can scan in 3D. You can't use a piece of paper, but if you can like sculpt a mannequin that look just like you, yeah, I mean, I mean, you can do that.
Wait, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just wave it in the thing, and there you go. Yeah, I mean, all somebody got to do is be able to get a 3D scan of your face, and at the same time, it's the same iPhone and Android Pixel that you can just run an app to get a scan of your face, and then you can like use a 3D printer
To print
and
your
print that
face.
shit out. Yeah, I mean,
Perfect,
it
perfect.
don't take much. Yeah, I mean, you can literally buy all this stuff at the store. Yeah, man.
It's not a
You,
part of Mission Impossible no more, man. It's
yeah,
a
man,
it's
yeah,
at Best Buy, man.
yeah, man. You can go to Micro Center real quick. It don't really take much. You gotta have the ingenuity. You gotta have the want. Yeah, I mean, but it
Bruh.
don't take much for real. I mean, but it's an issue for them. Like Google and Amazon, they are looking at this issue, but I mean, it's nothing that they can really do about it besides come
Worse.
out with new devices and hope those new devices don't have new flaws with them. Like it's the microphones that are in them. So if all of them got the same mic, they got to figure out a way to
Right.
come up with new
Come on with a
mics.
new mic, or
Like who you got to come up with a whole new microphone concept in general.
because it makes you think. Like when you hear stuff like that, man, it makes you reconsider like what some. It makes you think about like I guess just maybe getting rid of some things. And I don't know how often we just as human beings venture into that because we always forward progressing. But it makes you think like sometimes something may have been invented that just maybe it may exceed the power or just challenge the morality of us that because that you may have to probably you consider doing away with because it's like bro this is too
Yeah,
somebody has this power
yeah.
you
I mean,
know
we gonna get to a point in general where it's gonna be like it kind of has to be like a massive relapse where we just gotta all fall back and be like, yo, I'm done with technology.
yeah
We
yeah
all just gotta be like, that shit was fun back then, but nah.
yeah
Nah.
too
These
much man
those first 20 years of the 20th century or the 21st century were great, but nah, bruh. It's too many problems. It's
right
too many problems.
with the kill switch
Yeah, I mean that's what it gotta be. Like, I don't know, China or Russia gonna have to like shoot one of them EMPs over at us and
yeah
make it so that we just lose all our electricity. Yeah, I mean, like that's the only way type shit that is going to possibly happen. Like beyond that, we just going to keep riding this train along for real.
right.
I mean, we gotta come up with more regulations and stuff, but we gotta ride this train because
You know,
unless it's
continue
extinction
to drink
level,
and
we
be
ain't gonna
merry.
stop.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what it is. Drink and be merry. Keep
yeah.
on going because
And that's what
tomorrow.
I'm saying. Like I'm just trying to ride with the train. I'm talking to the people on the train, seeing who they are and all that stuff.
right,
Cause I'd rather be part of this ride and know when to jump off instead of just like not paying attention
right.
and finding out that it crashed when I'm part of the crash. I'd rather be able to be like, it looked like
Some
it's about
people
to
just get
crash up
left.
ahead.
Right.
Let me,
Yeah.
let's
Most of
hop
it,
out of
yeah.
here right
Let
here.
another stop before the last
Yeah, I
another
mean,
stop,
like,
right?
yeah, I mean, like, I think we got to exit now. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good time now. I mean, but yeah, it's technology is just gonna be crazy going forward. Like, we hitting a pinnacle coming 2020. You know what I mean,
Oh
like
yeah,
artificial intelligence and like all this like future graphics and cloud technologies that we about to start pushing in this 20th century. And like is going to be a new demographic. It's going to be a new era of technology from what we haven't seen earlier on. Because right now we're trying to get rid of technology and just act like technology don't exist. That's what we've been on for the past couple of years. It's just like making technology that doesn't seem like technology.
yeah.
I
For
mean,
sure. And
make
that's I think that's the track of Moore's law, right? How it's just for every time how does the law go? Like pretty much every time a new generation or like a birth of something happens, whether it be like the generation or like technology or something, it becomes double as fast or like double
yeah.
as
It's like
potent. But
every
like
every 18 months. Um, it was saying that every 18 months the size of a semiconductor can be reduced by half. So that allows for technology to be double in processing capability because I mean the whole point of the general CPU, the whole basis of the CPU is just the what do you call the semiconductor. That
yeah,
that that one that having those semiconductors lined up on a chip on a silicon board That's the whole end all and be all of the processor. That's the all end all and be all of what computers are at the end of the day. And they were saying that every 18 months they can make it twice as small as it was last year. And if they can keep doing that, they can throw more processors, some of the semiconductors on it, which they can make faster chips to do the same thing that it did 18 months ago, twice as fast. I mean, and then that exponentially go. So 18 months ago is twice as fast. 3 years ago is 4 times as fast. 6 years ago is 8 times as fast type thing. I mean, like, and at that point, it's like they keep talking about they hitting a wall because they're going down to atom levels, and they're saying like um it starts breaking a physical of a law of physics. I mean, where it gets so small that atoms don't, because like the way the semiconductors are designed, they technically are going through channels and whatnot, like
Yeah,
going through
yeah.
canals and whatnot. So like it's getting so small that the physics of atoms don't listen to the physics of the semiconductor
Like a
world.
physical
So like,
semiconductor.
yeah, I mean, so like the atoms aren't even going through the path, they just going through the wall. Yeah, I mean, like, fuck the canal, I'm just gonna go over here now. And they can't deal with the physics because that's a level of physics they never dealt with before, but they still working on it. I mean, because
It's still
I mean, they still work. They're like, you ain't stop us yet,
like
type thing.
they,
Like,
they,
yeah.
they didn't y'all ain't get it, man. Like you still
I
okay.
mean, like, yeah, yeah. I mean, because they talk about it in size of nanometers. They be like the 10 nanometer, the 12 nanometer. Now they got down to 7 nanometers, and
Mhm.
Mike, I think Apple talked about the next one being like 5 nanometers for the
5, yeah.
iPhone, and I mean, like nanometers is like 0.00 something of a meter. I mean, like of a millimeter. It's so small that it hurts my head to contemplate it, because at that point you talk about physics and chemistry and you're getting down to molecules and shit. And I'm
Right.
like, yeah, I'm done. I'm like,
This is beyond me, man.
yeah, yeah, bro. Like, all right, man. Like,
And you
let
know
me
what's
what
crazy? The scary thing about that, man, like, or alarming, whatever you want to say, is that I hear the human psyche. Our like we don't. I don't think we progress at that same pace. Like, I mean, of course, I
no.
think previous generations, we advance. Maybe more like maybe better socioeconomically. Because of having different information, more opportunity. But just as like the human race as a whole doesn't progress that fast, as like they're developing stuff. And maybe that's the reason why they run into this block of having this having this semiconductor that's like it's like the atoms can't handle it. Like it's just
Mhm.
like your humans like intelligence hasn't reached that level to handle something like
Yeah, yeah. I mean, don't get me started talking about things that's
that.
beyond me, bro. It's beyond. It's stuff that I be thinking about sometimes that just they might as well lock me up now, throw me in the loony bin, yo. Because I'm either a genius or I'm a freaking madman in one of these two realms, yo. So like, yeah, yeah, we get down to those levels and start looking at things that just can't happen in the real world. Like, people don't walk through walls. So when we see an atom going through what we think is a wall at that level, it just don't make sense. So
Right.
it's hard to conceive, and it's hard to understand, like, how does something go through something but still keep its state? Yeah, I mean, keep who it was. And like at that point, like, you start theorizing, well, fuck it, is teleportation through shit possible? How many, if that one atom could do it, can I get all 10 trillion of my atoms to do it all at once? Yeah, I mean, and what does it take?
There you go.
And I don't want to know. Yeah, I mean, because
Yeah.
I seen the Prestige. The only way I know teleportation work is if you make a clone of yourself and then you kill the old one. Yeah, I mean, I mean, that's how that worked in the Prestige. Like, you just making two of yourself, and the other one you got to put
You
somewhere.
gotta put
Yeah, I mean, you got to put them in a box somewhere. And I don't want to have basement full of boxes of meat. Yeah, I mean, I'm good with that.
That's gonna
I'm
be amazing, man.
okay. I will walk. I will walk to the store. I ain't got to be teleported.
You got
I'm all
to.
right.
No
I'm all
instant
right.
transmission, man. We can leave that for DBZ, bro. Let's
Yeah, I mean, because
yeah,
if they try to make a teleportation machine, Apple going to come out with a teleportation machine, and it's going to
that's
be
what they,
like it's going to be so user friendly. It's just going to dispose of the shit for you. Yeah, I mean, you make the you got one in your living room, you got one anywhere else. The teleportation machine takes you. You step on the joint. It's just going to fry your old you, and it's going to create a new you over at another place. Yeah, I
I
mean, it's just going.
teleport.
Yeah, I mean, and I teleported. Technically. Yeah, I mean, what happened to the old you? It's in the mist now. It's in the
Right.
wind. Yeah, I mean,
What you
that's
mean? This is
yeah,
me.
yeah, yeah. And that's the thing. Like, and then they're gonna come in 10 years later with laws and regulations. Oh, I think we found out that these things aren't really teleporting us. They making clones and killing the other one. Yeah, and that's the future. Like that's gonna be 2120. Yeah, I mean, in 100 years, Apple gonna still be around. They're gonna start making teleportation machines, and then they're gonna have lawsuits about how they killing our clones in the teleportation process. I mean, that's a whole nother thing. That's too far. That's down the line.
Way too far.
I'm telling you, it's gonna happen though. Let's live 100 years. It's gonna happen though. Yeah, I mean, but let's go to
What
this.
we got last?
Let's go to this last one. With Facebook. Facebook has a new logo and
My,
is
my man
perfect
Mark.
example of why Mark Zuckerberg is what totally lost. I'm cut off.
It just doesn't
Just
get
doesn't get it.
it.
Yeah, why he just doesn't get it. Um, yeah, man. Like I was actually watching the he was at Congress like 2 weeks ago, and
Mhm.
it was like right before this, and he was at Congress, and they were ramming him, like they was digging him hard for real, like trying to get him to like explain like how his industry, like how his platform works, and dealing with like things of privacy concerns. And one of the biggest issues that they were bringing up was the advertisement systems, like
Yeah.
because their system, because Facebook's wall sort of puts you in that walled garden where you only really know what you choose, like you only see what you are interested in. Like
Right.
how to the main way to get out of that walled garden, if you are a promoter of content, one of the main ways to get out of that walled garden where you can hit other people that don't know about your topic is by advertisements. Yeah, I mean, be able to push, like if I'm not interested in any of these things and I don't see any of it, it's no way for them to get that information to me besides an advertisement.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, so like how do they get it is through advertisement. And one of the main things that they were talking about was with like political ads, um, being able to curate ads toward different demographics, like for what's her name, AOC, the she's like a famous congresswoman because she's like
Mhm.
26, 27.
Oh yeah,
um
yeah. I know the she be going off.
yeah, on
I forgot her
Andalisa
name.
Cortez or something like that.
Yeah.
She she was going in on them, talking about like for one, like if I create ads for like black people, telling them, if I create an ad telling a certain demographic, if I curate that ad and design it so that it's like designed for black people, and like I tell them to vote on a separate day, or like I tell them the wrong day that they can vote, is that something that is curated or monitored by Facebook? Does Facebook monitor political ads that would tell you something like that? Like, or if I straight up lied and just been like, yo, this candidate doesn't support, like this candidate supports dog killings. Like, is that something that you're gonna check and be like,
Yeah.
that's
To promote. Yeah, it's bro. Like what's so crazy about that is because like I was saying, we both have a background in like doing some marketing. I've done, I think, a lot more like marketing like digitally and
mhm,
working with personal like solopreneurs. And that's the thing where so many like what's so interesting about that, bro, is that it just goes to show how open world it is. I guess that's the word I can use when it comes to like paid advertising, because on these platforms, people don't know that Facebook has had a history of constantly changing their policies when it comes to advertising because of this issue, right? Of being able to misconstrue data and being able to influence people based on how much money. It comes down to, if you have a message that you want to give to someone, and the way that the Facebook advertising platform works is that it doesn't go by what people search per se all the time, but the interest in the audiences that they are a part of.
Mhm.
If you the amount of money that you have, you're able to control how powerful your message becomes. You see what I'm saying? Like if you're a part of a group that has 50 million people in it, right?
Mhm.
And it you can set, you say you want to advertise what you're saying. It may be an embellishment of someone, saying that this person promotes dog killings, but they may have just been associated with someone that has done it and
Right.
then necessarily confess to it. If that opposing party puts up $10 million into ads, that can do some damage
Right.
to that person's political party. And it's just open source. Like, you can do whatever. There is no right, as long as, and they try to make it seem like, because I do advertising, right? I do for different entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, and they may have some things in there saying like, oh, you can't have, of course, nudity, right? That's the main one. Like,
Right. Right.
don't have no sex up there. That's
Some of the
the
basic things.
first one here. You know what I mean?
I mean,
But
like
as far as the
PG-13.
right, but as far as the message, but like the message you're trying to convey to someone, long as it's appeasing the people, and that it doesn't sound too malicious. There can be a lot of subliminals that you can put into these advertisements to be able to influence
Right.
people into making a certain action
Right.
that can be very malicious.
Right.
And the fact that I think what they're saying is that with Mark Zuckerberg is that when it comes to issues like that, he's focused on all the wrong things. And I don't know, just certain things like when we be on this topic of like, I guess talking about how the advertising platform works, and just on this, I think we on somewhat of a tangent here. But what I'm kind of caught. I don't know which side to lean on about this, because I know that there is pop, paid advertising is powerful, right? And the ability to sell someone on your services. Sometimes it you have to use what they call the real copywriting. You know what I mean? Being able to use persuasive language in such a way that sometimes you influence people to do a certain action. It's just that it comes down to the people that that have this power. Are they using it for you know the good or the bad? Are they being righteous with it, or are they being up to doing something evil with it?
Mm-hmm.
If you're a guy that comes to mind about that, as far as being powerful when it comes to the business realm and being able to influence people, is I think his name was Kevin Trudeau, right?
Okay.
You know who Kevin Trudeau is?
No.
To
No.
Kevin Trudeau, I
I, I've
think
I've heard his name before, but
pretty much he got locked up. He's a whistleblower, and he got locked up for I think a lot of credit card fraud stuff, right? But he's an excellent salesman.
nice.
He was someone I think that did a lot of like self help stuff, promoted those things. Like late, it was one of those guys that did a lot of like late night advertisement and stuff like that. But he was, what I'm highlighting is he had a really good business acumen in such a way that he was able to influence people to make certain actions to their demise.
Mm-hmm.
And with Facebook constantly they're making these policies per se, but they're not really addressing that issue of, I guess from a political stance, it's constantly why this is the reason why they constantly grow, Mark. Because it's like, look, man, we get that, yeah, you're trying to keep people from cussing and I guess being up with outright racist, right? With doing stuff, but there's a slew of other issues that comes with this that um, it hasn't really been addressed. It's kind of hard to regulate, that he needs to figure out how to regulate.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at this Kevin Trudeau guy now, and I mean, yeah, I understand. Like, at what point do you like penalize the influencer, the actual influencer, versus the medium that allowed him to be an influencer?
Mm.
Like, um, what was this that guy, the PewDiePie guy, and his creationist where he's always like joking about KKK and Jewish people and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Like at what point do you like, yeah, like at what point do you penalize him? I mean, for him, I kind of want to just penalize him anyway. I just I got the same for him. Like, but what that point do you penalize like him for creating the content versus a YouTube for allowing the content to be up
No,
there?
concept.
I mean, and in that case, like with things like advertising, it's hard to like stop it. Like if you got to have somebody curate all of it, and I think they were talking about like how like having I want to say like 400 million ads, but that might be over exaggeration. But they were talking about having so many advertisements come into the system at once that there's no way for them to be able to curate it with a large enough team, even if they had like 100,000 people just dedicated to
To
curating
advertising.
the ads by itself. Yeah, I
Uh,
mean, like it's so many ads that come into the system. It's no way that they can monitor it all. And like that's why they have the automated systems attempting to monitor it. But like how like when
how
you
efficient are these systems?
yeah, like those systems, they're not going to be efficient for one, and like by time you push those advertisements out, there is no pulling them back. Once they get into somebody's head, they're in
It's-
somebody's head. You can't get them out of their head type.
And what's key about that too with advertising and this, whether it be good, bad, or indifferent, what people are trying to do, the goal is to have it in front of them and have like an offer to them, what we call in, I guess, direct marketing language, an irresistible offer to them,
Call
where you call it a strong CTA that gets that person to move to a platform that that person, the advertiser controls, right?
mhm,
So the goal is, of course, like they say, click this button, go here, right, and then they leave the information. So although they may even catch it at a later time, like, oh, this advertisement was malicious, it was to do this, and this. Well, it was already 100,000 people that seen it. 10,000 people already left the information with the guy that created the ad. So
right.
where do we go to? Where do we go from here?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, even like in the Russian situation, like
Oh,
they weren't trying to like get you to leave the platform. They what they realized is that Facebook is the perfect platform for hacking people anyway. And all they wanted to do was hack the minds of the people. I mean, they wanted to just give alternative influence. I mean, they wanted to spit out disinformation. I mean, and that was the main thing that they were attempting to do. And they realized that Facebook is already the platform designed to get into somebody's head to feed them disinformation. They just had to fulfill it with the right
right,
disinformation.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, and
the
that was
right, the right bait.
yeah, like then yeah, and be able to find the right bait. They got enough money to be able to back it. Yeah, I mean, so like a $10 million back and a $20 million back, and they can go $100 million and it not be a dent if they know that it's going to influence Americans in a negative light. Yeah, I mean, and potentially raise their economy. I mean, so like they didn't even care about like trying to push anything on us or even trying to hack our computers.
Yeah,
They wanted to hack our mindset because Russia sort of has that ideology anyway. They're the motherland of Russia type thing. I mean, they think everything is sort of like a mind share and like a think tank, like a group mind concept, like a hive mind, I guess you can call
hive
it.
mind. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, like
Group thing. Yeah,
yeah, so like they feel like infiltrating the minds of the people will weaken the structure of the government, the structure of their society, the structure of their democracy. Yeah, I
mm,
mean, so like if they can go in there and manipulate the way they think, then they can cripple the democracy in itself. Which
right.
and they basically is kind of right with that. I
That's
mean,
what you're. Yeah, yeah.
they definitely like shot us in the kneecap with the last 4 years type thing. I mean,
Man,
so like,
that face app thing, bro. And you know what's so crazy about that, man, is
oh,
that
that
like you
face app
said,
is crazy.
man, like because and I think that was like somebody. It was backed by. It was created by some developers over in Russia. It was backed and they pushed that, and that joint came and went real quick, right? But what
Mhm.
people don't know is it was so many pictures that was submitted in such a short amount
Oh,
of
yeah,
time,
and they got all of it.
right? They
Got all
got all of it,
they got
and
my
then
face.
yeah,
They got
and it
my face.
was crazy. This too is that because I never even used it. I never used the app, but there
Mhm.
was people that was able to go into my profile. Some of the
Yeah,
homies or my
yeah,
mom or something like that. Oh, look at this, Dave. Go on there, take my picture, and then upload it. Where I didn't even
yeah,
have any control of. That's
right,
another. So we go back to
right,
the security thing.
right. Yeah, and
Like
that's another discussion I would like to get into because like that's a technology that they are trying to build out now is what they call decentralized applications. Yeah, I mean that's
mm,
something that they're gonna try to get into over the next that's this like I say this 2020 gonna be crazy. They go
mm,
because yeah, because somebody could because right now your profile is up, your picture is uploaded on Facebook. Anybody that can get to Facebook can pull at least at minimum your picture and your name.
right.
Yeah, I mean, and pull that information and use it somewhere else. I mean, what they're trying to do with these decentralized apps, which requires them sort of modifying how images are sent to each other, how I like to every device
Mm,
and all of that stuff. Like having it so that and have it sort of requires having a faster internet, which is this whole 5G, 6G boost that they're going to be doing over the next years is having a different type of internet. But essentially where everybody's device is a client and a server. Yeah, I mean, so
mm,
like right now, when everybody has a Facebook app, it's on your phone and you're uploading all your stuff to the server, and the server sort of manages control over who has access to things and whatnot. What they're trying to get to at a point with these decentralized apps is that everything is on your device and you give people access to your data based on the access that you give them on your device. Yeah, I mean, so like you got a picture on there, if that's your profile picture, you essentially are putting it up on your wall, and your wall is on the device. And if somebody else want to see what happens, they are essentially connecting to your device
mm,
and
device.
getting that information to be able to see what happens. And like even if they get like a picture, and they, like I said, it's going to be years before they get it. Like they're implementing it now, and it's like in a like late alpha, early beta type area.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm actually I got some open source software that I'm testing, trying to do some stuff with it. But like they want to get to that point. You put that image up and you
Boom.
allow somebody to see it, but they cannot do anything with it. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
because the system won't allow them to do anything with it.
They won't
It's
allow you to take screenshots or nothing.
yeah, you can't even take screenshots, and that's what they got to get to a point. But they got to have the apps designed in that way. Yeah, I mean, so like
Mm,
Facebook will require like for Facebook to even do something like that will require 'em changing up their whole infrastructure, which ain't going to happen no time soon. I mean, so like either Facebook would ultimately change to that structure, which is what they start talking about when they trying to do the stuff now. Like they're already talking about how they want to implement these things. They don't talk about decentralized apps because that overall term just sort of floods your mind with thoughts like what it could be. But like they already hint at some of the functionality that having a decentralized app would allow you to do, which is what they want to change into ultimately. But it's going to be years before that shit happens. I want to say at least 5 to 10 years before it becomes a thing. And like they have alpha systems. You got small apps that out there that can do it now because they're testing out the capabilities. But for it to be de facto standard, it's going to take a while. Like
it'll
not
take a
even
while for it.
yeah, like not even WhatsApp, which is supposed to be like a completely encrypted end-to-end communication system, even does this shit right now.
Yeah.
Like it's real alpha, but um they want to get to that point where every piece of information that you put out to the internet, you still have control over. So by the click of a button, you can resend that access. You got a message there, I can immediately pull that back so that nobody can get access to it. And it kind of requires a whole new way of software design and development to even make that type of system
To implement
possible.
something like that.
Yeah, yeah. I
I'm
mean, it's
actually sitting there reading this article, man, and it seems like what they were talking about, they hinted on that, but they were saying just how Facebook is so concerned about its brand that it's starting to take away from, I guess, just a lot of things that the company has accomplished.
mhm.
And I was looking here, and it says that I just grazed by it.
Yeah, because I was kind of I was kind of beeline the actual head of the article because the article is primarily about that logo change for Facebook and that branding change for Facebook. And
Right.
what I was introducing was like because they went to Congress earlier, like 2 weeks ago, and then 2 weeks later they decided to change their branding as if that was the point. Like the
Right.
whole time at that congressional hearing, like Zuckerberg was under a truck trying through most of that. Like he was getting ran over.
Yeah.
But then, like his answer to all of this after he leaves, his best answer seems to be, "Let's change our
Let's
branding."
change the brand. Yeah, it's like all of what we're talking about here is like because of the fact that he's focused, he thinks that a substantial change is changing the logo. It's
Yeah,
like, bro, like we talking about other companies being able to develop software that can be used to manipulate people that can inject itself into Facebook, not the brand, Facebook the application, and do
application.
all of these type of things. And it's like you don't have no answer for this.
Right,
Like
exactly, and that's and I mean, the
nobody gonna fuck about
in the
the
obvious
logo, man.
in the obvious part, it's like, yo, you changed, you didn't even change, coming up with, like, a new brand, you just changed the logo, like,
Yeah.
you literally called it Facebook again and just made the logo in all capitalization under, like, some Arial font and shit and be like, "Yo, this is different." Like, "No, what are you doing for real?"
Right.
Like, you're not fooling nobody. Like, at least when Google created Alphabet, you understood what they were doing, and you knew that it was kinda malicious and why they were doing it,
Why is doing it?
but
Yeah.
it made sense. Like, they trying to split themselves up so that they don't seem like they as powerful as they are, so
Right.
let's move some of these divisions over and let's create a
Yeah.
parent company, and let's name the parent company Alphabet because, kids like the alphabet, and alphabet is synonymous with, playtime, so, we don't wanna seem like we too serious, so let's
Right.
name it something, something childish like Alphabet.
Yeah,
I
we don't
mean,
want to. We don't want to make it seem like we got to be able to see all of what's actually happening in the world. These
yeah.
land masses that fall
We don't
off
wanna
the
make it
internet
seem like we
system.
got, like, 85% of the advertisement market and that, like, we building quantum computers and supercomputers over here, and, like, we plotting on, like, the world takeover, like, we trying to get everybody's information, that shit is not a lie. Like, w at least we understood what they were trying to do. Here, it's just like, "Yo, what are you doing?"
It's
Like
just like Mark Zuckerberg pretty much is like, all right, whatever, man. Change the logo. Let's get back to business.
yeah,
That's it.
I mean, like, "Get out my face, I said change the damn logo,"
Oh,
and
that's it.
like, ideally, what I could see is like, I mean, yeah, like, come on, yo, I can't like you understand what it is just in the logo, the just looking at the two logos, you understand what he's doing. He's trying to keep Facebook the app as its own innocent thing and like allow people to sort of steer all the controversy and stuff toward the app while trying to make the adult version of the logo be like a legitimate company and be
Yeah,
like that's the responsible company that's going to make sure that the app is working right. But it's the same damn thing, yo.
same thing. Right?
You ain't create another division. Yeah, I mean, you ain't open up another office nowhere. You ain't say these people are going to like you ain't say, "All right, I'm Mark Zuckerberg, and I'm just only gonna head like Facebook.com, but Facebook
Yeah.
Inc. and all of that stuff is gonna be managed by somebody else altogether." No, yo, you still run all of this,
Still
yo.
run all
It's
that.
still yours. You the problem, bro. You're the problem. I
He
mean, like
doesn't get it. He
yeah,
doesn't get
and I
it.
mean, and ideally, because he got so much of the shares, they can't like vote him out. Somebody has to come in, and they have to allow somebody else to come in to buy all another enough shares to be able to vote him out. I mean,
Yeah.
and they not allowing nobody to come in and vote him out. I mean, so like,
He essentially has become a monarch, man.
yeah, I mean,
Because
yeah, yeah,
ain't nobody move him off that square unless you kill
yeah.
him.
And can't nobody really kill him because behind all those cameras, man, is like 10, 20 security guards waiting. Like he got his own version of a secret service, yo. You ain't got that
Oh,
much money and controlling that much influence over the world without having people watching your back.
and skateboarding down the street. No, bro, like stuff like that.
Yeah, that little hipster with the skateboard and backpack on, man, he got 25 in his dip, yo. He he looked like he chilling, but he will fuck you up, bro.
Right. That's what it is.
He look like he cool, but he used to be in the Marines, and he decided to chill over in California and got a job working for Mark B. Like,
Yeah, I
and Mark
know.
talk about going hunting all out there, man. He probably be hunting with them. That's probably why he got all that.
That's what it is. I can only imagine, like, when you get to that level of like, you amass that level of power, man. It's like, what do you do? You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
I
Like, what do
mean,
you?
he you do what he been doing, yo. Like when the 2016 elections was happening, like he was talking about, he drove around the country trying to connect with the people and see what the people are about and like who these, because he ain't really had no major social life outside of his Facebook world, so he don't know nothing about just being with normal people and going to normal cookouts and shit. Like, yeah, I mean, so he decided he gonna go around the world and act like he campaign well around America, and it seemed like he campaigning. I mean, but he was just trying to figure out what the rest of the world really wants, because he has his own virtual country. Yeah, I mean, he has Facebook, and that has just as much influence online as anybody in the real world. And it's like having that much control, and like the only other person that can, like, I can't even say that because I don't know, man, he not as smart. I don't think I can't consider Trump as
Powerful as
in,
no.
not even powerful, just as intentionally smart. Yeah, I mean, like, he's intentional, like you can tell Mark Zuckerberg has intentionally done all the influencing throughout his life and his career. Yeah, like everything that he's done
Intentional,
has
yeah.
been like an intentional capability. Like he's playing chess out there. Donald Trump is very lucky. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
he's a yeah.
like he's been able to do a little bit of influence, and when he was younger, and people really looked up to him to be able to like get his reputation up back in the 80s and
Right,
whatnot,
yeah.
to be like get his influence, but like he was never really successful in anything. It was just that people that I feel like when I always thought about it, I was like, he's always been like, he's basically Richie Rich. I mean, like the cartoon Richie Rich was,
He's the older version of Richie Rich.
yeah, I mean, and he's not even an older version. He is Richie Rich. Like the cartoons of Richie Rich was basically really just about him. Yeah, I mean, as a kid growing up. Yeah, I mean, like, and growing up in that and being rich all your life type thing, and growing up to just be even more richer type shit. Yeah, I mean, and like he's always had that influence. So other people that are just like really wealthy based on their own successes, he was just always there. So he was always able to like influence people and be like, you might not be good enough, or you could potentially be better if you get to doing these things.
Because he's
Whether they knew it,
already.
yeah, I mean, whether they knew his backstory or not, I mean, since he was already in the rich realm and all these other people are looking to be where he's at, he can influence them just by the fact that they looking to be where he's at.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean,
It's like perceived value versus real value, right?
yeah, and like now we all see the real value, but we weren't able to see beyond that, like during the early 80s and 90s. It's hard to see beyond that because he was in a place that not a lot of people were. But now he's on television 24/7, and everybody get to see what he really about.
I think it's that, and then too, within we in this technology boom, the social media age, where because there it allows so much more commentary about anything in particular. There may have been some folks within the past, within the 80s and 90s, that had maybe the same sentiments that we have right now about Trump, but it was just maybe in small circles or not really propagated, not really known enough. But now, someone can criticize a tweet, and then
Yeah,
50 other million see that tweet. You see what I'm
right.
saying? Now it's like it's so much easier for the silliness to be exposed, right? The real person, the immorality to be exposed. Now you have it gets rid of the misconceptions, right? Like, oh, he's this wonderful person. He's amassed all this wealth from just like hard work alone. And it's like, you get online and say, nah, he did this. I remember his father gave him $1 million, something like that. Now
Hmm.
50, 60 million people see that. And now 50, of course, that message, they lead in with the message, and now everyone carries that thought. You
Yeah.
see what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, because you
Mhm.
just gotta be like, after a while, like whether you know the facts or not, you can have a lot of great assumptions, and a lot of assumptions tend to be based off like versions of fact. Like, and the way I say it is like we know that he got $1 million from his family, right? And it's hard to say whether that was the influence that got him to be successful or not. But we know for sure that no self you can't consider yourself self-made if you've been given $1 million, because nobody that we know has been considered self-made off of being given $1 million. I
Right.
mean, like
Doesn't make any sense.
yeah, I mean, yeah, like it's hard to say, it's hard to consider yourself a self-made person, and it's hard for other people to consider you self-made because their whole self-made experience did not come from receiving $1 million. Yeah, I
It
mean,
comes, yeah,
like
it's like, yeah, it's the same thing. Someone saying that they are self-taught in a particular topic, but they've been offered and gone to, college and even graduate school for the thing that they have mastered, right? Or the,
right.
the thing they were self-taught. This just
Right.
doesn't make any
Yeah.
sense.
You know, like you self-taught yourself in when you were home studying, but like you still had a mentor throughout this process to guide you through. You didn't guide yourself as well. Yeah, I mean, part of being self-taught is also having to guide yourself and being able to have that self-discipline to put yourself through the right direction. I mean, not just being not just accepting what direction is thrown toward you. I mean, like when you're in a university and through that structure, they tell you what to do and you do it, and then you pass, and
Yeah.
you're considered, you went through this motions. But like, you didn't tell yourself that you're going to give yourself this curriculum and you're going to go through these things yourself. You didn't create your own curriculum based on what you just found and studied on your own,
Mm,
and studied by that, and have been proven to be a professional because other people that went through these other so-called professional curriculums
right.
can attest to your skill set without having to go through it. Yeah, I mean, like, there's a requirements for self-made. Yeah, I mean, that's
Yeah,
you can't
it's
just
required.
you just can't be self-made. Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
Like,
You can't just proclaim self-made. You had all of this help, man.
yeah, yeah,
You're not.
yeah,
You're not
yeah.
self-made.
And I mean, like, nobody's shunning you for not being self-made, but we're shunning you for not telling the truth.
Yeah, we exposing the lies, man, the
Yeah,
deceit.
yeah. I mean, I mean, like, we appreciate older Trump more for that, but no, we really don't, because we don't like his mass
You know what?
ego.
Yeah, that's crazy. I've always said that, bro. I said, because people have their opinions about Trump, the president. I said, like, I can appreciate Trump, the billionaire, and the symbol, like what he stood for, and I would consider that Trump different than President Trump. I
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
do.
because yeah, because I what his reputation was to be a businessman and to like go through the motions of being a businessman, but then you find out quick that he was just sort of living his father's, like the shavings of his father's life, like the he was just living off of what his father did and taught him, but it didn't actually mean anything for him because he wasn't able to do anything with it.
Right.
I mean, like, he wasn't able to be as successful as his father was from the lessons of his father. If anybody else that was falling on harder times took in the information of his father, they'd probably be successful. There's probably people now that grew up under his father as well in the business world and are successful because of working with his father, but not necessarily him. I mean, but like, it's hard to say because he is the fucking president, how successful he is. But at the same time, it's hard to say it's a success if
Man,
it was manipulated success. I mean,
smear
like,
campaign, right?
yeah,
As far as the, again, like we was just saying, on these platforms, the person who has the dollars, man, has the power.
has power,
And
man.
I think that who was it? It was Hillary. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
Donald
that was
Trump
what
is
he was
richer than
going to.
Hillary Clinton, man. I think he's richer. He's richer. He's able to he has more
Yeah,
resources, mean more access. You know what I mean?
yeah.
More
I
that
mean,
you're able to propagate and push your message.
he got more credit. I don't even know if he got more money. I know he got
Right.
more
Yeah.
credit.
True. Yeah.
He got more money in things. Yeah, I mean, whether
Oh,
they
yeah. The
actually,
bankruptcies, right?
yeah, yeah, he got money in things. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, that's a game that rich people can play. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. He knows how to play the rich man's game.
Mm,
He doesn't know how to play to be a rich man, like how to get to that. I mean, so trying to follow him and like get to the level of success because of what he did, that's what people are trying to do. And that's what people probably trying to do back then. And that's where they ultimately probably just went wrong. It's like I'm trying to follow Donald Trump and how he got rich based on what he did, and he didn't do those things.
right. He didn't. Yeah.
I mean, and it's like, yo, you're following a false lie, like you're following a
Yeah.
false path. But yeah, man, I don't mean to make this into a Donald Trump segment.
I'm not. It's all good,
Yeah,
man.
yeah,
I
yeah.
know. It's
Um,
always
let's
great.
let's close this out. Um, I you want to do that second show? You want to do that second one? We can run
Yeah,
through
we can
that
go. What is the
the Microsoft joint.
yeah, we can go ahead and do that, man. We can run through it. I'm gonna you do some closing remarks, and I go to the bathroom.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. So go ahead and do closing remarks because you're better at that.
All
You
right, let's
instantly
go.
better at that.
It's cool. Well, yeah. So yeah, that was the our first episode of the weekly tech wrap up. Again, this is Michael Bennett and Michael Baker. First episode was really insightful, really exciting, man. I want you all to continue to stay tuned to the things that we'll be sharing. Like, comment, subscribe. We're going to be having some more stuff coming your way and a more, I guess, structured process of how you can get in touch with us and have comments and things that you probably want us to talk about based on, the different articles and different informations in the tech industry. So, yeah, that's pretty much it, man. We're closing this one out and stay tuned. We got more coming your way. Peace.
Yeah, coming soon is Twitter. We gotta have a Twitter page, Facebook page, and the website in like the next week or so. Um, just waiting for some things to be verified on the accounts in, but yeah, we got that popping.
All right, man. That's it. Weekly Tech Wrap Up. We'll see y'all next week.
Take it easy.